Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli, and tonight my guests are, first up, the fat and hairy one. It's Danny the GFP. Hello, Danny.
Oh yeah, our other guest is quite hairy. He has quite the beard. Oh, I've given it away. It's not a lady. That's good. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, you say our other guest. We're chock-a-block with people tonight, aren't we?
Well, that is. I'm not going to say whose fault that was, but someone's had a busy week and forgot to arrange the guest, didn't they?
Yeah. But, so if you fancy joining a Bergkamp Wonderland for a podcast,
if you're listening now, you could probably sneak you on.
Yeah, we could probably sneak you on, or probably next week because no one will want to do it then either.
Right, there's no pod next week. It's International Week.
Oh, so we all get a week off.
Hey! Well, some of us. I'll still be there, slaving away.
Right, well, whose buttons are you be pushing next week?
Hey, it's my birthday next week, so I'll have. I'm paying for some ladies of the night to come round and clean.
You're getting some brasses over.
Well, they'll be cleaning the brass.
Oh, lovely.
Candlesticks.
It's just disgusting.
Holders.
You've completely thrown me. And
Good.
Finally, radio rental. It's Ellis Mel. Hello, Ellis.
Hello.
So nice of you to turn up.
Yeah, the only one who wanted to, but I'm here. I'm sorry, everyone.
We won't be too hard on the others that couldn't be bothered. But it's lovely to have you here. So for all of you listening, it's a fantastic threesome tonight. Whereas I don't really think I should have it. Fuck the hosting. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if they can't be bothered to turn up, I can't be bothered to host. I am here in only a guesting capacity. So, Danny, I think that all hosted duties should go over to you, seeing as you're the one that normally don't say much. You've got to say something tonight, otherwise we're well fucked.
Well, some like Jeff Arsenal, if anybody knows, see what's his Twitter. He's been careful what we say here, but he's been having a right old time in Ibiza. Hasn't slept for a month.
Off his face.
Yeah. Dom and OG and Shredder, well, they all work on a different time zone, so it's lunchtime there. So happy lunchtime, you lot. So they can't do it. Holic is busy. And who else was there? Jeff said he would come on, but he wouldn't make much sense because I don't think he's seen the games. And Simon, it's date night, so he couldn't make it. And yeah, I think most people are just busy. Doesn't matter.
The sooner this podcast goes back to a Thursday, and everybody can be involved in the Thursday vibe again, the better.
Yeah. Champions League all the way. I've always said how much I love it.
I honestly think, as much as I'm enjoying the Europa League, that if we have another season in the Europa, Arsenal Football Club is dead, and so will this podcast be. It's true. Like, you look at it, Danny, those are the facts. We are
the cold hard facts.
18 podcasts into a season, and we are practically dead.
Oh, but what a way to go.
Yes, we've had 5 wonderful years. So we might as well just get Raj to sing us out now. Give us a blessing.
Oh, but we've got, I think in 2 weeks' time, it's going to be, I think it's Raj, Holic and Jeff all on at the same time. There you go. Is it really? That's something to look forward to.
Oh, and I think
OG said he'll make it on the 8th, but I think the 8th is going to be this Sunday. So I think I've misread his message. Because if it's Sunday, Jeff, you're on your own.
Wow. To see, you talk about time differences. Yeah. That's what we have to deal with. Danny, we'll continue with you then.
Yes.
I hope you've got a loan watch, just like what you did earlier. Just like, it only has to be brief. And scores across the world. Just like, who was it you said is doing? Perez is doing nothing.
Okay, well, I'll start from the top. Jenkinson is at Birmingham is injured. Cohen Bramall at Birmingham isn't really doing much because Harry, my dog does my phone calls and texts. He resigned, or he got sacked or quit, whatever it is, after getting in 15 players. So he actually got more players into the club than he did points. That's genius. Mark Bowler, who was brilliant at Notts County last season, is now at Bristol Rovers and he's doing well there. Stefan Mavidi, I've got no idea what he's doing at Preston. Takuma Asano at VfB Stuttgart. He got promoted from last season. I should think, just like last season, he's probably playing either wide or as a sub. Emilio Martinez, I don't think he's playing many games for Getafe in Spain. Joel Campbell at Betis is injured. Lucas Perez, I think I looked, he's gone back to Deportivo La Coruña and he has played 5 games and not scored a goal. I think a lot of them have been sub games or they've not really had a good run of results. And Kalichi, not saying his surname, VVV Enlo in Holland. Yeah, I think he's doing all right there. I think he scored a half decent goal recently. So there you go. That's the lone roundup. Do you want some Utes?
Yeah, let's do the Utes.
All right, we've got the under-23 Utes who they had a bit of a bad game. They went to Everton, who Everton can't buy. If you want to put some money in the next Premier League manager to get the sack, put it on old Big Schnoz left foot free kick taker for Holland. What's his name? Their manager, Koeman. Yeah, put it on him. They are having a disastrous season. But we went to them and they beat us 4-2 in the youths. McGann, McGuane. Would that be McGain?
McGann, isn't it?
McGuane. But I think that's because we played in Batty Boy, Barisov. We played those, so I think quite a few of the usual under-23s had gone with the first team squad. So we are now, even though we have lost that game, we are third in the under-23 league on 12 points. Everton on 13 and Liverpool on 18. Been dipping shit bags. And we had Charlie Gilmore got booked and then booked again and sent off in the 84th minute, which is a bit sad. Can't see. No, I was going to look to see if any first team players were there, but I've just said why they wouldn't be. So we're going to have a quick peek at the under-18s. They went to Brighton and we drew 2-2 with goals from Olejinka and an own goal from someone from their team who's also unpronounceable. Nothing important from what I can see in any of that lot. No names, nothing magnificent worth talking about, I don't think. Well, actually, is that the goal that he scored? So this bloke scored for. Bloody hell, that is I found an interesting part of the game. LJUBICIC. Fuck knows how you say that. He scored they went 2-1 ahead on the 93rd minute, and then he scored an own goal in the 95th minute, and then. Why are they putting down as 2 goals? Oh, yeah, because he's got us down as an own goal. That's not bad, is it? He only come on in the 71st minute, scores looks like the win, and then scores an own goal. Lovely jubbly. So our under-18s with Kwame Ampadu are now 5th in the under-18 league on 10 points, and Chelsea are running away with it. They've played 6, they've won 6, they've got a goal difference of plus 19. It's just absolutely pointless carrying on with that league. Look at the ladies. They were unlucky. Went to Man City, lost 5-2. 1 point it was 1-1, and then it was 2-2, and then it ended up they scored 3 other goals. And Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool are the only pro teams in the women's league. It's only played 2 games. We've got 3 points. Chelsea in those 2 games have got a goal difference of plus 12. Fuck me, what is the point? How they managed to do that? They've won both their women's Super League games, 6-0 home and 6-0 away. That's not a bad run of results, is it?
No, not bad at all.
I think you'll agree. And they're currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight wins. Fuck's sake. Oh, something's just popped up. I haven't even got my chat window open properly. Was that... I don't know what you've put in there, Ellis, but it makes no sense. Is there anything you wanted to say about that, Ellis?
No, nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Oh, good. Just interrupt me while I was mid-flow.
I'm sorry.
Injuries, we've got 6 injuries. Coquelin is any day now from a hamstring. Welbeck, any day now from a groin strain. You lot are typing in the window again. You fuck off. Chambers is any day now from a hip injury. Koscielny, any day from Achilles, which I think that's going to be on and off the rest of his career. Ozil, you can just put whatever you want here because it's bullshit why he isn't playing. There's fuck all wrong with him. I've got the sniffles. I've got a bit of conjunctivitis. I've got earache. Whatever it is, it's bullshit. There's stuff going on there. Something is afoot, as Sherlock would say. And this one, Santi Cazorla, he's been out for 348 days. Apparently, he'll be back in 5 weeks. He's got an Achilles problem. Anyway, he'll be back as if someone gives him a piggyback onto the stage.
Did you see the video that was going around? Someone did a medical report of his actual injuries.
Oh no!
And he had to have skin grafts and everything, didn't he? It was like proper nasty.
No.
Yeah.
Was that on his Achilles?
Yes.
You're not really working with much down there, are you? You've got quite thin skin.
I think they took it off of his forearm, or something like that.
He's only tiny. That couldn't.
He is only
much.
Tiny. No.
Oh, bless his little socks.
Yes.
Right, there you go. That's
so we'll continue the show then by talking about our first match away to Batty Borisov, whichever way you'll insert your Ali G based quip there. Ellis, seeing as you are the only one, we'll go to you for
He's
your
the one and
thoughts.
only.
You are the one and only. Do you feel special?
I do feel really special.
Do you know any songs that we could sing to him, Gimli, about him being the one and only?
He is the one and only. Nobody he'd rather be.
Beautiful that was. What a beautiful rendition.
Oh,
It was.
thanks.
Yeah, do you know what? It was very, very difficult to give that rendition when I've got such fecal impaction going on.
Oh, that must be uncomfortable for you.
Extremely. Don't make me laugh. I might shit myself.
Oh, Jesus. Go on, Ellis. Quick savers.
Well, yeah, Bat Borisov or Batty Borisov or however you say their fucking name. Who cares? They're just a team from the middle of fucking nowhere in Belarus. Yeah, when I watched the game, I thought this is quite all right. Did we go 3-0 up for a little split second before we conceded a goal?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
We scored in 9, 22, 25, and they scored in 28.
So yeah, we looked pretty confident. We looked quite good going forward, considering how many sort of changes Arsene Wenger had made to the team. A couple of, like people mentioned on the radio show, square pegs and round holes. There were a few players, sort of younger players, playing that position at the right wing back and left wing back. But yeah, we started off quite well. Did all right. It got a bit sort of typical.
Are you snapping plastic cards again?
I am snapping it.
Stop that right now.
It's in the bin. It's gone. All right.
Fucking hell,
Which card was that?
Gift card.
Nectar card?
Still the Nando's gift card.
How big is your Nando's gift card?
You've been
It's
snapping
not
it for
very
an
big
hour.
now. I've snapped it into quite small pieces.
Honestly, Danny bollocked him before the podcast,
Oh,
and
well,
he's
steady.
still snapping the same card. We've been going for about 6 minutes.
I thought it was you that was being a
Wasn't
tit
me.
and snapping things.
I am forever the pro.
Yes.
You might hear the odd click of my Zippo lighter, but forever
Or
the
something
professional.
else that sounds like a toot or a trump.
Yes.
Is it the last time I was on when that was going on?
What, someone farted?
Yeah, but no one would own up to it, would they?
I'm still
remember that.
saying it was Chaz. The amount of vegan food he eats.
Oh, the
Must be
man!
like an accordion.
The man has to have fire safety officers around him at all time in full uniform with all the fire extinguisher equipment because he is a gaseous experiment gone wrong. He could go at any. She's gonna blow.
He.
What was that?
Yeah, that sounded like a bumblebee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they do. People have it's like a scene from Monty Python where that one more wafer thin. That'd be Chaz full of gas. Bang, gone.
I suppose we should probably get back to the football, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should. My next question, Ellis, we might as well go to you as well. We'll stick with you. Nelson and Ketia McGuan, Nelson and Maitland-Niles.
You say Nelson twice. How many Nelsons do we have?
All of them.
Oh, I did say Nelson. I've got them written down in my notes.
Nelson Rivas got sacked this week. He was only manager. He got another Argentinian team. He was only there for 5 games. I think he lost 3 of them. They sacked him. That's Argentinian football, people. Crazy.
That is crazy.
You're talking Nelsons.
Yes. Is Arsenal's future bright, Ellis?
I don't really know, to be honest. Like they looked all right. Everyone's sort of ranting and raving about Nelson, aren't there? And there's a fair few videos and clips of him on YouTube scoring goals and doing bits and bobs. But yeah, he looks like a good player. Whether he'll get enough chances, I suppose the Europa League sort of gives him the opportunity to get into the team. And I'm not sure if the position he was playing, sort of that right wing back role, he's really going to get the chance to shine. He probably needs to be playing a bit further forward to really give the kid a good chance. But yeah, I think we've got some good youth players coming through there. I didn't hear of all of them. The young guy that came on as well towards the end, I didn't really know much about. Obviously, we've seen a bit of Maitland-Niles, who's sort of played right back, left back, CDM. He's played all over the shop. But I think Martin Keown made a good point about when Matthew Flamini broke into the first team. He was obviously playing at left back, at right back. He played all over the place, and then he sort of settled in that sort of centre mid, and he's sort of done all right for himself before he went off on a free to AC Milan. So perhaps you can sort of do that with a Maitland-Niles, sort of train him up a bit on the right back and left wing back, get him to get used to defensive responsibilities, and then give him a go in the midfield when the chance arises. But I think a lot of it does depend on getting your opportunity and taking it when you can take it, and so, like a key sort of, or not a key person getting injured, but an injury crisis in a certain area where the youngsters sort of have to play in. Other than that, I don't really see many of these guys getting an extended run in the team unless they do exceptionally well in these Europa games.
No, I think you're right. Danny, was there anyone that night that that stood out for you at the? I know we're going to talk about Wilshere coming up next and the game that he had, but out of the youngsters that participated, were there any standouts?
Well, I'm just looking at them all. I think it was nice to see Nelson and Maitland-Niles. We can't say Conservative because we need more double-barrelled players in the first team, so then we don't look like an advert for the Conservative Party. So we have got a few coming through. That's what I got my fingers crossed for. A few Monster Raving Looney Party candidates and maybe a Green Party. So they were there somewhere, just waiting for them to come through. But having those two play there and Willock playing in midfield, which is a bit weird because Joe Willock, I think he's only 17 now. Joe, yeah. Chris has already gone. He went to Porto, Benfica, one of the Portuguese teams. And I think he must be looking back at this and thinking, oh, well, my younger brother's now starting first team games for Arsenal in decent competitions. And I'm... in fact, that could have been me if I'm staying there. And I wonder if Wenger was doing that on purpose, like taunting him with his younger sibling by going, "This could have been you," sending videos through the post of his brother playing for the first team. But there was quite a few of the youngsters coming through. I really didn't think we would have this many coming through at the beginning of the season that are doing that well. I think there was 11, including we've got 11 starters on the pitch because that's how football works, and 7 substitutes. So that's 18 players, and of those 18, 11 were English. Now that is something that makes me quite giddy with happiness because I do love to see lots of people that you can say, oh, they're just like me. They're young Englishmen, and they're playing for Arsenal. Because until those days, when Wenger went through his Denilson days, where he was allegedly buying up all the best quality youth players from around the world, you couldn't see and you wouldn't hear an English accent in an under 23 or under 18 games for love nor money. And now, it's cockles and eels and all those other sayings that Gav, if he was here, we could do them for us. But I would have liked to have seen in that game that we only brought on 2 subs. We brought on Maguire and Nketiah. I think I might have said that right for the first time ever.
Yep.
I would expect I want the people at home to stand up and applaud me. Don't tell people why you're doing it, and they'll just think you're a bit crazy. Thank you. But I think this is put a nail in the coffin of Chupa Chupa Apcom, who we all love dearly. I'm not saying it. So I would like to have seen him come on and just have a bit of a run around because Giroud was... Yeah, poor old Giroud. It's much like the game against Doncaster, where he was trying absolutely everything. It's a little bit like me playing. I say me playing FIFA. I won 21-0 the other night, so that's not quite like me on FIFA anymore. I'm now world class. So I would have that opportunity is to give young players a first team outing, and we had Mike's favourite Dragomir. I think that's it, the one he likes.
Vladimir Dragomir.
Vladimir Dragomir, Mana. And Charlie Gilmore and Silva, Apcom and Macy. Well, I don't think you could give him Macy a game because he's a young goalkeeper and Spina is the number one when it comes to cup games. But I would have liked to have made the most of using a third sub. But to get back to answering your main question, I think they're all pretty good. But the one that sticks out for me the most is probably going to be... I'm going to go Reece Nelson. Maybe not on the night because he got a 7.1. Niles got a 7.1. Willock got a 7.7. And Holding, can we really count him? He got a 7.6. Got a goal, hit the post as well. So the bright is the future's so bright that we're going to all have to wear shades indoors when we're watching them play.
That's beautiful.
How about you? What do you think about them?
I didn't largely know what to expect out of any of them. I thought they did well. Obviously, the opposition. You can obviously say if the opposition was any good or not, but as Ellis said, it's all about players taking their chances, and I don't think any of them particularly did themselves a disservice. I thought they were all good. The football was of a good quality. And if this is how they're going to be used in the Europa League games, I'm all for it because it's nice to see some of the young blood out there on the pitch rather than, we all moan that there aren't anyone that does it for the shirt, so to speak. But no, it's nice to see a little bit of youth in the team, and it's nice to see them all take the opportunity. But Danny, just out of curiosity, what was Wilshere's match rating?
But a bullshit 7.4.
Really?
Unbelievable. That is going by whoscored.com. I know everyone has their own ratings. And Walcott got a 9.8 man of the match. I know Walcott was all right. Walcott could have had 6 tonight. that night. But Wilshere for me was at least an 8, an 8.5. When you take into consideration that he's been away from the first team for 2 years, that he's still coming back from a leg break, and that for the first half hour, as I'm probably sure you were going to mention, he was absolutely immense.
Yeah, he was superb. For me, I'll just briefly talk about Walcott as he scored the 2 goals. It was a typical Walcott performance. He scored 2 goals, but he didn't leave an ending impression for me. I didn't think that he was world class. I just thought he did what he did, and for parts of the match he was quiet, and then for parts of the match he was good. Ellis, what did you think of Walcott's performance? Does he deserve to be in the first team?
I think he had a good performance. He does this a lot, doesn't he, Walcott? He goes through periods where he looks like he deserves to be in the first team, and he's scoring goals. And I think I mentioned it on the radio show. He's got quite a good record against even the big teams. He scored last season against I think Man United and Man City, and he's obviously scored against Chelsea before. He does score against the big teams, and he does score in those games. But he just goes through periods where you just think, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like he's a Marmite player for me. Some people they love him and they think he's a good player and they'll stick up for him, and other guys just sort of can't stand him and want him to leave the club. But he does pop up and he does score goals, and it's like we always say, he's typical of Theo Walcott to score a goal when he doesn't have to think about it and he can just bang it in. It just sort of the opportunity presents itself. But he can just go through periods where he's invisible and you can't see him, he disappears. But he has to have credit against Bate Borisov. I know we've said it before, you've said it before, Bate Borisov, they're not the sort of top quality class of opponent that you want to see your players playing against, but you can only perform against who you play. Whether he deserves to be back in the team as a starting 11 in the Premiership, I don't know. We'll probably go on to talk more about the game against Brighton in a bit, but I thought the guys who played just behind Lacazette looked quite good, and I couldn't really pick anyone in that squad who I'd want to swap out for Theo Walcott. Obviously, he did come on in that game, but... And
I'll just say a point on that as well. When the final whistle went, I found it hard to believe that Walcott was even on that pitch, because I'm not sure I heard his name said many times. It's quite ironic that, he has or scored 2 goals against Bate, so he gets an opportunity off the bench and he comes on and he does absolutely nothing. Danny, Theo Walcott, for you.
Well, I think people are quite harsh on him. It's the fact that he is now one of the top 5 earners at the club, and we've changed our formation, so he doesn't really fit in any of the positions, because his main position is going to be striker. But we saw that last season that he is not a striker, and he even come out and said, "Oh yeah, I like to play right wing." We don't really play right wing anymore. We have to have a right wing back, so you have to have some kind of defensive capability, which he definitely doesn't have, because his legs are made of spaghetti. And he's got his new hairdo. But he scored 2 goals, and he would have had a hat-trick if it wasn't for the fact that Giroud wanted to take that goal, that penalty, to make it his 100th goal. And he hit the post once, and he could... That night, if he'd have been a little bit more on form, if their goalkeeper wouldn't have had a half-decent game, I'm saying that, but I know the goalkeeper did throw the ball at him and go, "Go on then, son, have a shot." But he could have got... he could have got 5 or 6 goals on that night. I think he did all right. But remember, he wasn't playing as the main striker. I know him and Giroud were moving around a little bit, but because Giroud isn't exactly the quickest player on the pitch, and so Walcott was playing kind of in the Sanchez position, where you can go out and do what you want. You can be in anywhere on the pitch, which you can. For me, you can only ever have one free role player, and that's usually Sanchez. And I think that night it was Walcott. And I think he did all right. I mean, to go out there, we won the game. He scored a couple of goals, but someone has sent, I think Lee Dempster is listening to us, he's just sent us a tweet saying, "Are you actually enjoying the Europa League? Weirdly, as never thought I'd say it, but I am." I think he must be listening, because that's exactly what we're talking about. So, Gimli, are you enjoying the Europa League?
Yeah, I am. I am enjoying it. It's very much end-to-end football. When we played Bate Borisov the other night, I will say, as much as we attacked and we scored goals, they looked like they could have scored against us at any given moment. It was such an end-to-end football match, with it sounding one-sided, whereas it really wasn't. I think it had the potential to be a banana skin, of course, as any team does. But in terms of quality of football, I can't think the last time, with the Cologne fans as well, that I've enjoyed it as much. I get it's the same kind of we know what the Champions League entails every year. We have a strong group stage, and then we get knocked out in the first knockout stage, and then we just focus on the league. And whether that's become a bit bland or not, I don't know. But I've really enjoyed something new, and even just the 6 o'clock kickoff the other night, although it was weird and some people wouldn't like it, it was nice. I like weird and wonderful, and for me, I think at this moment in time, having a little bit of European football when we could have otherwise had nothing because no Champions League, it's refreshing. That's the word that I'm going to use.
I think seamlessly Ellis has gone and then come back again.
It's just me fucking waffling.
So, Ellis, you had a question in from Lee Dempster saying he is surprised, but he's actually enjoying the Europa League. Are you?
Yeah, I did hear that. I sort of dropped out halfway through Gimli's talk about it. But yeah,
ruin the magic.
Oh, sorry, guys. Anyway, yeah, I am really enjoying it. To be honest, it makes a change from always meeting Bayern Munich or Barcelona and getting a hammering every now and then. But who knows? At Bayern Munich and their result against PSG, they could potentially finish third and then drop into the Europa League and then smash us there and knock us out. But I am enjoying it.
You're going to get burnt as a witch, didn't you, for saying shit like that? You've now jinxed it.
I don't believe in all that shit.
No, good. How about we got some good games coming up, but if you're a fan, on most sites they've got this. They've called it CRVENA ZVEZDA. I mean, that's just fucking Scrabble made up nonsense. But for us lot, that's Red Star Belgrade. And now people are going, oh, I think they used to be Yugoslavian back in the day, and now they're Serbian. So
Belarusian.
Oh, it says here they're in Serbia. No, that's Batty that is Belarusian.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Red Star Belgrade, who we're playing in a couple of weeks' time. So going away to there is going to be
They
different.
got some fucking right nutcase fans.
I was trying to say that politely, but you've gone and ruined it.
Oh no! The thing is, right? If everyone saw Cologne come over here, that was banter.
That was
compared
brilliant.
to what Red Star are going to bring.
Yeah.
Seriously.
There's a few names we can give to their sort of ultras, can't they? Will be going to the game. They can sort out for us. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, we have a 100% record, don't we? Which is that you can't really ask for much more than that. We've had 2 entertaining games, scored lots of goals, and we haven't really haven't done anything really badly.
But we've got a good lot of fixtures coming up as well. I think we've obviously got the international break, but after that, I think we've got Watford. Then, like you said, Red Star Belgrade, Everton, Norwich.
Everton at their place, which is easy. Then we got your lot, Norwich. Then we got Jason's lot, Swansea. And then we're back off to Red Star Belgrade are coming to us in the beginning of November. So we've got some really, really busy fixtures. Actually, Gim, while we're talking about fixtures, do you want a question that is based around fixtures?
Yes, let's have it. I like this. Let's do this, Danny. If we're talking about something and you've got a question that revolves around the topic that we're talking about, chuck it in there.
Okay. Just scrolling up to find it. It is one about... Where's it gone? Oh, here it goes. From Stephen Mills, he says, what are the panel's thoughts on moving the Liverpool game to Christmas Eve at 4 p.m? And that is going to be, is it Liverpool home or away? It's Liverpool at home. So it's meant to be on December the 23rd at 3 o'clock, and they're now thinking of moving it by 1 day and 1 hour. Ellis, what do you think?
Oh, I think that's mental.
From what point of view, though? Because I have 2 points of view that I can look at this from. So.
Well, obviously the 2 point of view is the travelling fans, and then obviously the guys who watch at home on TV, which is mostly me. Like I can't really afford to get down to the Emirates that much. Probably get down sort of once or twice a season, maybe more if I'm lucky. But for the loyal guys, like especially the Liverpool fans, I've got to try and get down to our place on is it Sunday? I think they said is it Sunday Christmas Eve this year?
No. Yes, it is. Yeah.
So yeah, imagine the trains, Christmas Eve and a Sunday. It's going to be fucking a nightmare for those guys. So, but at the end of the day, it's Sky or BT or whoever they're pumping all this money into the Premier League, so they can just dictate really when they want to show it, and it will be good for the sort of the guys at home. Like for me, Christmas is about family, and we don't really sit around and watch much football because not all of my family like football. But I suppose if you're a football mad family, then you probably love sitting down watching a bit.
Your dad likes football.
My dad does, but everyone else doesn't really.
Well, it gives you an excuse not to talk to a family relative. Just sit there and watch your football.
It depends if you like your family or not, I suppose, doesn't it? It might be a good idea for some people, but I think it is crazy to have a fixture on Christmas Eve just purely for the guys that have to travel. But I don't know. What's your opinion on the matter?
Go on, Gimli.
What, my opinion?
Yeah.
Shit time of year. Shit time to hold a football game.
Humbug.
Whoever's thought it has clearly thought more about revenues and money than match-going fans. It's a stupid decision made by some arsehole in an office who probably watches about 3 games of football a year. Fucking ridiculous.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all.
It is a shit. Do you know what? I saw someone walking around our local Asda in a fucking Christmas jumper earlier. I wanted to go up and punch her in the face.
If it wasn't for the fact that you had 14 tins of salmon down your pants, you'd have probably gone and hit him.
No, it was steak, actually.
Oh, God, going up, Clark. Don't you like Christmas in Gimli?
No, it's just...
I love it.
To be honest with you, the only good thing about Christmas is it's an opportunity to get really pissed.
Like that's any different from any other day of the week for you.
No, I'm sat here drinking cherry Coke at the moment. Granted, Kate might have bought me up a Kronenberg, but...
I love Christmas. I put on one of those big red centre hats with a little bell on.
Tinsel around the old tyres.
Yeah, that's it. And then I have a gentleman's tickle to some Christmas-based
You're
delights.
like a walking Christmas tree.
Well, I'm not like anything walking, really, am I? I'm like a floating.
Well, Christmas tree with wheels, then.
Hey, that's an idea. Asda will steal that, or Argos, fuckers. We've copywritten that. I think it's funny because fuck Liverpool fans, because they're all bin dipping shitbags. That's usually when they're out robbing other normal people's houses, breaking in and stealing all their presents to give it to their multi-toed kids. But seriously, it's for me, it's brilliant because to have a game on, give me a reason to get out of bed because it's going to be 4:00. But I believe for the greater good of football and football fans that it should not be allowed to happen. It's bullshit. That means we'll be having a game on the 20. Well, what if we're playing on the 24th? That means we've got to play again away at Palace on the 26th, and then on the 30th away at West Brom, and then on the 1st at home to Chelsea. So that's going to be 4 games in about half an hour. How is that even going to be logistically possible? It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
And I don't like it. Well, there you go. That's that question. I'm going to go and delete that question now, so I don't end up asking it again later. So, what else have you got lined up for us?
Wonderful. Let's talk about Jack Wilshere. No start against Brighton. Does his future lie away from Arsenal? Danny's already pointed out to the fact that I thought he had a really, really good game against Borisov. I thought he might have even come on against Brighton. I was a bit disappointed when El Neni came on and the final sub, because I really honestly did think Jack Wilshere was due some minutes. Ellis, what did you make of Jack Wilshere's performance, and when do you think he's going to start getting some time in the team?
I thought he had a really good performance. Obviously, there's going to be people out there who said the only sort of teams he's sort of played against and played well this season has been against sort of Bate Borisov, Doncaster, and a few minutes here or there against other sort of lower league teams. But you can only, like I said earlier about Theo Walcott, you can only perform against who you put out against. And I thought he played really well. He had some really good touches in the game. He put in some good decisive passes. He'd done the sort of like similar to that goal against Norwich. Him and Giroud sort of combined with some flicks here and there. And they seemed to be quite good at that. And it nearly did come off, I think, at one time. But he sort of trod on the ball or hit the back of him or handball or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it just put him through and he didn't quite get through into a good position and the referee blew. But yeah, I thought he played well. In terms of him getting like a start in the Premier League, I think he's probably got a bit more to go. Obviously, he's got this horrible, horrific injury record, and we're going to have to be really careful with him. Some of the guys said when he played at Bournemouth, he played really well, but I didn't really watch him to make much of a comment. He didn't seem to pull up any trees for me from what I saw, but a lot of people probably disagree with me and say that when they watched him for Bournemouth, he played quite well. But yeah, you're just going to have to be careful for him. I think by 70 minutes, though, against Bate Borisov, he did look pretty tired, and I'm surprised he didn't come off. But yeah, I was quite happy with his performance. I think, like we just mentioned earlier, there is some I can't really say easy fixtures, but easier fixtures. We're not really playing any of the top teams in the next 6 fixtures, so maybe he'll get a few more chances there. And if he can put a good run together, we might see a bit more of him. But only time will tell, really. We just got to hope that he doesn't get injured. There was a couple of times against Bate Borisov when the players went. Well, I think one player sort of half came through the back of him. There was a couple of sort of baddish tackles on him, and my heart sort of skipped a beat. And I thought, oh God, what's going to happen? Is he injured? But he rode him well, and he done all right. And it was just sort of the fitness I thought at 70 minutes that was the only sort of negative point I could say about him. But that is going to be the problem when you've been out for injury so long.
Jim, talking about injuries, are you interested just if a quick rundown of his injuries over the years? There's only been 11.
I can do. Shall I give you a quick Jack Wilshere fact first?
Go.
He has now played 2 lots of 90 minutes. And that's the second time he's done, or the first time he's done that, since September 2014.
Oh dear, I had hair then, I think.
I know.
Well, no.
Did he never play 90 minutes for Bournemouth at all?
No, I don't think so.
No, he did for them. That stat was for
for Arsenal.
Yeah, he had a run of about 18 games when he was at Bournemouth, and I think the only one he misses at 18 was against us. Because it was, is it called Cup Tide? It's not called Cup Tide, is it? You can't play against your parent club. So
eligible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Edibles. Gummy bears. So if you look back at he's only had a few injuries. I've just had to Google what malleolar. Am I saying that right, Ellis? Being a man of the cloth.
Dom would know.
That's ankle. So he in November 2009 he got that injury, and that kept him out for 12 days. And then his next injury was July 2011. So that was 2 years. He sprained his ankle. He's out for 56 days. Then in September 2011, ankle injury. And he had surgery, and that was 127 days. And then fatigue fracture. They just made that up, whatever that was. That was in February 2012, 104 days. A knee operation in May 2012, 125 days. Ankle injury again in March 2013, 30 days. Sprained ankle, November 2013, 6 days. Hairline crack in the foot in March 2014, 57 days. Ankle injury again in November 2014, 90 days. Another ankle injury, February 2015, 36 days. Now the big one, hairline crack in the calf bone. That was August 2015, beginning just before the season started. Was that in the pre-season friendly? Was it the Emirates Cup? I don't know. People at home are either nodding or shouting no. And that was August 2015 until April 2016, 247 days. And then July 2016, knee injury, 11 days. And then he broke his leg with Bournemouth in April 2017, 112 days. So it just seems to be all because of that one ankle injury, the vast majority of that, plus 2 broken legs. So hopefully, I mean, it's not like it's going to be with Santi or Diaby or Rosicky, where they were just constantly out with other things. It seems to be that Jack is always out with the same kind of thing. So if they can control that, give them metal ankles. Can you do that at your place, Ellis? Give them metal ankle?
No, not the Norfolk and Norwich. No, we have to send them somewhere else for any of that sort of business.
Oh dear. And his contract expires at the end of June next summer. So, again, do you reckon they'll give him a new contract? Because at the moment, I think he's on 95 grand a week. How do you think the contract situation is going to go?
It's a tough one. When does his contract run out?
End of June next year.
End of June next year. It's a tough one, isn't it? I'm sure there are plenty of people out there listening to this that, again, are nodding and going, yeah, you've got to give him a go. But there are also people out there on the other side of the coin saying, he doesn't play enough, bad injury record. It would be a shame to see him walk away on a free.
Hobble
away on a free. I think a lot depends on this season, how much game time he gets. If he picks up another injury that's long term, then unfortunately I think we should cut all ties with him. But again, if he goes on and he has a decent run of games injury free, then by all means offer him another contract.
See, the thing I was thinking was, at the moment, people have been going for the last 2 seasons 85, 90 grand, he's not worth that. But with the leaps and bounds that wages are going at the moment, when his contract comes up for renewal, 80, 90 grand might be the average for a player like him. Do you reckon there's any chance of that, Ellis?
Who knows if the transfers that are coming up now, it could be crazy. But maybe not for someone like Jack Wilshere. I think we'd be lucky to get it. Well, I don't know. It depends on how he performs for for the rest of the season. If he does get injured, then like Gimli says, I think we might have to cut all ties with him, and I don't think we'd renew his contract or get a big deal for him unless he's done something amazing in this season, which I can't see happening. But don't want to be too negative. Just see how he goes.
That's all we can ask for. I'm just looking to see if we've got any questions about Mr. Wilshere. Oh, here we go. From Tordov Gimli. He says, I think he's right. How do you guys think our midfield would work with Jack and Ramsey operating it? Oh, that's a bit special. I like that.
I think we've seen them play together before, and I don't think they complemented each other very well.
All right, you fucking pissed on my
Sorry
there.
to fucking piss on his cornflakes, but I don't think the Jack Ramsey combination is particularly viable. I mean, but saying that, when they have played together, they've only played a couple of games before the other ones got injured. So
that's exactly what it's been. But then again, what if we, Ellis, what do you think about that? And like Jason says, when Ramsey plays brilliantly for Wales, he plays in a midfield three. Do you reckon we could do a Jack and a Ramsey and plus one other? Do you think that might work?
Yeah, well, I think we definitely have to have a midfield three of those two, because neither of them are particularly good at sort of covering the defence, are they? Ramsey's great at making those good runs forward and like giving someone an opportunity to pick them out and popping up with the odd goal with those good runs. And Jack Wilshere is one of those players that can sort of take a couple of touches and take other players out of the game and got a good passing range. But I don't think either are particularly great at defending. Like, they're all right, but they're not sort of they can't really play CDM, I don't think. But yeah, I suppose if you've got a third person, and then they might work all right together. Like Gimli said, it's hard to say, because I can't really think of a time when him or Ramsey have really had a run in the team together, like on the pitch together. So I don't know. I'd have to look back and have a look at that. But yeah, you're going to have to need someone new who is going to be able to cover the defence, but then you're going to have to change the whole formation again for that. So I can't see it really happening unless they perhaps play, I don't know, Xhaka and Wilshere sort of in the two centre mids, and then maybe Ramsey, whilst Ozil's got his sick note, sort of playing right or attacking left mid, but just behind the striker. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But it could work. I am big fans of both of them when they play well. I have been critical of Jack Wilshere just because of his injury record, but when he's playing well, he's a delight to watch. And if we could ever get him into that sort of way consistently, it'd be lovely. But I just can't see it happening.
Well, that's all the relevant questions so far, Gimli. Carry on, and if I find another relevant one, I will go, oi, you young man, step aside. I've got a question.
Do it. Troll them for Olivier Giroud then, because he reached his 100 goals for Arsenal Football Club, and it was one game sooner than Van Dijk did. Ellis, sum up Olivier Giroud for us in words.
Ooh la la. No, I love Olivier Giroud. I think
not enough
he does
to say
get
his name right though. There's no D on the end. How dare you get names wrong? I hate it when people do that.
Yeah, I've never seen you do that, Dan.
Never.
You need to show me how you just pronounce these people's names.
I'm a natural, innit?
In it. But yeah, I love him. I think he's unfairly criticised sometimes. I think he's now sort of found the role that he's best suited for Arsenal. I think when you mentioned him, the Dutch cunt, or Kutch Dunt, sorry, I said it wrong.
Dunt, yeah.
Left us. In came Giroud and in came Podolski as a way of sort of thing of trying to sort of hopefully thinking both those two could make up for the goals that Van Persie wasn't going to get for us. But it didn't quite work out that way. Obviously, Podolski's left us now, and he scored goals when he was there, but he just never really quite cut it. And as for Giroud, I think he's a fantastic player, and he does get criticised unfairly, but he can go through these runs like he has for 18.
Don't mention the fucking runs, fuck's sake.
Oh, Jesus.
So he can go for these stretches of games where he doesn't score, but he's got quite a good record, hasn't he, coming off the bench? And I just like the way he plays, and he seems like one of those players to me that always wears his heart on his sleeve and works really hard for the team. He's always back defending corners, doing well, and he's obviously got his weaknesses. Every player's had their weaknesses, and I think when we play to his strengths, he's a great player. He's a fantastic player, and he's got a very good beard and very good hair. So what more could you want, really? Let's be honest.
And I mean, he has treated us to some absolutely sublime goals. I mean, that one at Crystal Palace was just, I'm fucking semi-erect just thinking about it.
Is that the Les Scorpions?
Yeah.
As they don't say in France.
Yeah, that one. Beautiful goal. Danny, your thoughts on Mr. Giroud?
Yeah, well, he's considering when he was in the French League too with Tours, and I think they got promoted, and then he left them straight away and went to Montpellier. In his second season with Montpellier, they won the league title. That was back before PSG went, we'll buy everybody here, have £1 million for your legs. And then, so this is now his sixth season with us. 17 in 47, 22 in 51, 19 in 36, 24 in 53, 16 in 40, and this season 2 in 10. But if you broke that down to minutes, then he hasn't played that many full games, has he? Even if you add it all up and then divide it by 90. He's I think he does realise that now, I say that he's getting on a bit, he's reached the grand old age of 30. Oh, God, I can't remember when I was 30. It's so long ago. Yeah, but hopefully he'll stay, because there's still rumours that Everton are sniffing around him. But he's just been a magnificent player, and he's for holding up that line. If he'd have played in a 2, I reckon he'd have got more goals, because he is a kind of Alan Smith kind of player, where he used to always play with Ian Wright and other strikers like that. But he's had to do so much work on his own, and so often he'll be isolated up front, playing with his back to goal, and such a hard job to play with your back to goal. And then you've got usually 2 defenders, because most teams are going to play 2 or 3 centre backs, and a lot of the time it was going to be him against those 2. So he's had to be a little bit rough and tumble, get stuck in, and to have managed 100 goals in 237 games, which didn't you say that was quicker than that?
The cut stunt, yeah. One game we did it 1 game quicker.
Oh, and also heard there was someone. Didn't he do it quicker than Bergkamp as well?
I'm not sure. That stat I do not have.
Well, we can make it up. I think he did. There was 2 quite famous Arsenal. Well, there's not going to be that many Arsenal players in recent Premier League history that have scored 100 league goals for us. I mean, 100 goals, not league. He's got 70 in the league. So I think he is quite an underrated player. I mean, he's France's number one pick ahead of the likes of Lacazette. So he's a good player, and I like him. Plus, I like his attitude. He knows that he's no longer going to be starting every single game, and he's okay with that. But he's still got, I mean, he's only 30. Even if he wants to, he's still got another, because he's not a player that relies on pace, is he? He relies on physicality and being good in the air. And I think I saw a stat that since, I think it was 2016, we've scored more Premier League headers than any other team. I don't know when the date that was. I think we had 17. So he's still got a good few years left of us, because he's not going to have to rely on pace. He's not going to suddenly fall off the edge and go, oh, that's it, I've lost 2 yards and I'm fucked. He goes, no, he'll just carry on elbowing and jumping and passing and holding off and being spectacular. Do you like him?
I do like him. I like the fact, like you said, that he accepts that he's not going to be first choice anymore. He goes about, he's professional, he speaks highly of the club. He's one that when he does eventually leave, we can only have fond memories of him. I mean, I've come on this show and I've slated him before, but there's probably not a single player in the starting lineup that I haven't slated for a poor performance.
But that was during his 18 game run of no goals, though, wasn't it? I think it was 18 games. We all went a bit, oh, God, he's rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, was he called the lamppost or something like French, that? Was called the French lamppost.
Yeah, Hugh Wizzy called him the French lamppost.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't argue. Stats don't lie. 100 goals for the football club. When he leaves, we'll all speak about him very highly. Fantastic achievement. I hope he goes on and scores 100 more, although that's doubtful.
This season, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Another player we should talk about is El Neni, and he had a particularly good game. Now, a lot of people are slating him, saying he's not good enough, Ellis. But every time he's played so far this season, from what I've seen, he's put in a real shift.
I actually don't like him that much.
Okay, fair enough. Why don't you like him?
I just think he's just bland and boring. I think that's the position he plays, and he has to play like I guess. And I don't know. I just don't think he adds much to the team. For me, I actually prefer Coquelin over El Neni, and I'm sure Jason will be fucking spinning around in Wales when he hears this. But yeah, I think he's got a good engine. He does a lot of sideways passing. but I don't really know. He's been all right when he's played, but as much as people I prefer to have in the squad ahead of him, to be honest. But yeah.
Danny, try and save us.
He's a wonderful player, if not just for the fact he has got wonderful hair that I'm quite jealous of. And when you look at the fact that he came from Basel, Basel had a magnificent Champions League run. They smashed Porto 5-0. I mean, that's little bitty Basel. They're just growing the whole time. Little bitty Basel. And he's one of the linchpins for the Egyptian national team. He's got 5 goals in 50 games. He's always smiling. How could you not like someone who's constantly smiling? And you think, he hasn't been here that long, but this is his 3rd season with us. He's played 49 games in all competitions and scored 1 goal. But he's always there, constantly running. That's what we used to like about Sanchez when he first joined the club, that he was just constantly flat out running all over the place. And when you've got a player like that running around all over the shop, it's going to be so hard, because he's known for having a half decent long shot. He can do a bit of passing, a bit of tackling. A jack of all trades. We need players like this at the club that are adaptable and can do a lot of stuff. I prefer him ahead of Coquelin, depending on what role you're going to play them. Because if we like we were saying about Ramsey and Jack, I wouldn't want to play Ramsey, Jack and El Neni, because I'd want to have Xhaka or Coquelin as the one there doing the defending, because they do a better job. But when you need someone to slot in for we wish Champions League, for a Europa League game, or to come on and cover any one of about 6 positions when we're in a league game, then he's going to be there. But got a question about him, Gim, from someone. If you, I know you're interested.
Let's do it. At least it gives you time to get Ellis back.
Has he lost? Is he
I'm already here. What are you talking about?
Oh, what was it? Who was the?
It may have been me, but I tried to get in and out without you knowing.
Oh, we're not
know what's going on my
anything here, people. If the tech fails us, we will tell you.
Right, this is from someone who looks a little bit like he's wonky. Someone called Davey Boyd. Never heard of him. No. He says, does the panel... He says, do the panel think? I think he means, does the panel think? Oh, terrible.
Oh, that's just offensive for you to pull up someone on grammar.
Oh, no, innit. He says, do the panel think that Jack and El Neni should have come on Saturday together at 2-0 to see if it would work? And he's put, fuck me, did it in 2, though it's W.
Do you realise that this show is going to get a lot easier when everyone gets 280 characters?
240, isn't it? I thought they're doubling it. Oh, 280.
Yeah.
Actually,
fucking hell, basic maths.
Can't do maths or grammar. What can you do?
I said, really fucked.
I said in the tweet, I said, could everybody just try and keep it to one tweet? So then Davey decides to send me one tweet explaining that who's on tonight, saying this isn't my tweet. Then he sends another tweet saying, serious one for a change. It might be in 2 parts, as I'm only still limited to 140 characters. Just looked at it, 3 parts. So he spends one of his 3 tweets explaining that the tweets are just going to be longer. So Kim, what do you think to that? Would you have liked to seen Jack and El Neni come on and play in the centre of midfield in the Premier League just to see if they work together?
Yeah, why not? I would have just liked to have seen Jack get some game. I thought against Borisov he played well, and he at least deserved 20 minutes. I'm disappointed. I always like to see Jack play, and I thought against Brighton would have been the perfect opportunity for him to come on and get some league minutes under his belt.
There you go. That's it. We can move on now.
Wonderful. So I think we've covered everything with the Borisov match. I have no notes on Huddersfield, so we are pretty much going... That's
because we didn't play Huddersfield.
Fucking Huddersfield.
I'd like to see your notes if you did have notes for Huddersfield.
No, I definitely haven't.
They got Mongs by King of the Mongs. That's all you need to know.
We haven't. All I'll say is I had some hot wings for lunch, and the reverb's off of them.
Yeah.
I'm expecting some serious fecal impaction. Later on this evening. That's extra points for saying fecal infection. And again.
3 times.
3 times. Oh, there's that gurgle. Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger celebrated his 21st anniversary with the 2-0 win. Danny, we've had Ellis's thoughts on Borisov, so we might as well go for yours with Brighton.
Well, as we know, it was a 12 o'clock kickoff, so I saw the highlights. What time did I ring you at on here? It was 7:15. I was watching the highlights then. To me, from the highlights, all it looked like was a game of walk it into the back of the net. I think I'm just looking at the stats: 25 shots on goal to their 9. Of those 29, expand you pig. We had on target 11. Yeah. So without looking at the stats, I already figured out the fact that it looked like we were trying to walk it in the net, and football pinball, which is something that we're getting quite good at lately. I mean, their goalkeeper had 6 blocks, which is the curse of the away goalkeeper at Arsenal, which drives everybody crazy. Yeah, I didn't really expect much from Brighton because Josh, who is a Brighton follower, said that they were going to be playing 3 wingers because they didn't really have any fit strikers. So I wasn't overly bothered about thinking whether we were going to win or not. And Sanchez got man of the match with an 8.8 and an assist. And we've got quite a few more questions about this game from people because I think it's more recent. I was trying to say brighter in the memory, but that's not even a saying, is it? The lineup, I was a bit surprised to see that Koscielny wasn't playing, but I suppose with teams like this, then you don't really have to worry about him playing. Ozil wasn't playing as well, and both of those two haven't been called up for international duty. So I sometimes think, is that Wenger being a little bit sneaky and saying, you two aren't playing, by the way, you're both injured and you're not going on international duty because we don't want Koscielny to do anything other than put his ankle in a bucket of ice and sit like that for 2 weeks. Kolasinac was his usual brilliant self. Monreal, wow, he's just coming on leaps and bounds, isn't he, with his ability to... Do you see the tweet he did the other day? On Friday, he tweeted a picture of them in training with him saying in the caption, I have my shooting boots on.
Yes, and he did.
He's a time traveller, isn't he? What a good goal. What a lovely bit of control from outside. Actually, I'm thinking back. Was it outside or just inside the big box, not the little box, because I've got honestly no idea. I keep thinking it was 12
Why
yards.
are you talking about big boxes and little boxes?
I've been speaking to Jeff, haven't I? He's been raving away in Ibiza. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I think the most important things about this game is nobody come out of an injury. Sanchez looks like he's getting back to the form that has made him the best Premier League player for us in a couple of seasons. Best Premier League player for me last season. Yet another game where we haven't conceded a goal. Nice for Holding to come back, and because the first 2 games he played in, we conceded 7 goals, 4 against Liverpool and 3 against Leicester. And the defence looked pretty good, but when you're playing a team that doesn't really have any strikers, they are going to look good. And Brighton are a team that they're struggling against relegation because they don't have the players to come out and do much against the big teams like this. They're just going to have to hope that they can get a few more draws, maybe sneak the odd win at home. So I was quite happy with it. But it's been a bit of a poor week. We've not really had anything to complain about, have we? And as Arsenal fans, we don't like it if we have nothing to complain about. I think we much would have lost that 9-0 to Brighton, and then we would have been up for a little bit of a moan. But the buggers, they went and won again, didn't they?
And they're doing well. Our home form at the moment is particularly superb. So none of those dickheads.
Is it 16 Premier League games at home without defeat?
Yep, something like that.
If it's not, we'll just make it up.
I haven't lost a game since we sold Ox. The happiness rating is going to be.
You haven't done it.
No, but we will do it. Fuck it, let's do it now.
Look at you breaking
practically
all the rules.
A 3-man. I know this week we are breaking rules. Ellis, your happiness rating at a 10.
100%. No, I just said that to piss Danny off. I don't know, 8, 9, 10. Who knows? Something good. I'm quite happy, to be honest. Like, what more can you want, really? We're winning. We do this though, don't we? We have a bad defeat, and then we go for this run of games. But like we spoke earlier, some good fixtures coming up. Hopefully, we can get maximum points or get further in the Carabao Cup or whatever. So yeah, I'm quite happy. I say 9. I'll go for 9 out of 10.
Danny?
A+. Am I allowed to do that? No. Well, we've scored 6 goals in a week. We've won both games. Jack has played well. We've had no major injuries, and everyone's looking happy. And Bellerin's hair is at the optimum length now, so he's playing well again. We just need to make sure he gets regular trims. So
I just say as well,
go on.
I was so happy to pick up my copy of FIFA 18 and Hector Bellerin to have proper hair. Normal hair.
Oh, back in the old days when he had normal hair.
Now he has stupid hair.
It's stupid.
I quite like his hair now. I've got used to it. It's like a little Spanish samurai.
It's stupid.
At least he ain't got the plaits anymore. Like, that was a bit stupid. But
That was. I'd make him
that
wear
was
a hat.
extremely.
It's not as bad as Theo's hair, though. He straightened it. That just looks wrong. That looks like he's from an 80s hot chocolate tribute band. What was that group? The London Boys. Didn't they used to have wanky hair as well?
UB40.
Hey! So I will give it I'm going to give it an 8. It could have been... I'd like to have seen more goals against Brighton, but that's just being greedy. And I think we did concede a couple of shitty goals against Batty Boys. So I'm going to give it an 8. What are you going to give it?
I am also going to give it an 8. It would have been a 10, but for the sad news that I read this week that our good friend Arseblog, Mr. Andrew, put out, that it looks like old fucking Silent Stan might be buying the rest of the shares from Usmanov, and that I cannot even begin to tell people, and I'm sure you all know. Our club is pretty much dead when that happens because he can register all the rights over in America. He hasn't got to divulge any of the financial information. He can use us as an asset to buy things. And pretty much it means that he has not got to be accountable for anything. He can just do what he wants.
AFC Met sent a question in about that. He says, what are your thoughts on the possibility of Kroenke buying Usmanov's shares and gaining full control over Arsenal?
If it happens, it'll be a very, very sad, sad day.
I heard that he will be able to have 10 Arsenal fans come to his house and he will use them as human sacrifices whenever he wants. Legally, he's legally allowed to. And he'll be able to use you as a coffee table and put you close to the fire and cook crumpets on your butt. Seriously, that's in the contract.
Shit, have we signed this contract?
Well, I signed it for you.
Oh, fair enough.
Keep you warm.
Do I get to eat any of the crumpets?
How dare you? No, you can have a bit of warm coal out of the fire. That's all you're allowed.
Burnt or unburnt?
Well, if it's warm, it's going to be slightly charred, but they're going to have it charred before they put it in there. I think, well, you're going to have to just put up with it.
Lovely.
Nothing you can do about it. I think it'll be. It's inevitable, really, isn't it? Because Usmanov has realised that he's never going to get any of the shares off of Kroenke, and the bloke who was a part shareholder at Arsenal has gone and bought 50% of Everton. Everton have gone and spunked all of the money that they've ever had, and they're shit. They're worse now than what they were last season. I know it takes a long time for a load of players to gel, but I can see Usmanov going to Everton. I think Bill Kenwright still own 50% of the shares at Everton. So I think if that he does own that many, then I wouldn't be surprised if Usmanov goes there, and then he will come back and he will buy all of the Arsenal players just because he can. But Usmanov is a very lovely person, and that's the thoughts of ABW in case anybody of his solicitors are listening. But I'd much rather have Usmanov as an owner than Kroenke, but that's because I don't know anything.
But the thing is, they did say as well in that article that it's something to do. They made it clear to Usmanov that whoever they sold the shares to, they would not be welcome on the board nor be offered a place. So it wasn't just them being a prick to Usmanov. It was whoever buys those other shares, which is shit. It's shit, and there's nothing you can do about it. And
He'll probably get some of his cattle to come and mow the lawns at the Emirates and goats.
Did I also read in there as well that there was a fan consortium that had made a bid? But no. I think I could be wrong.
We have some rich fans.
We do have some rich fans. But I think there was a fan consortium. But it's just sad, isn't it? I think in a world where football is being ruled by money, and we can all say the Arsenal way, but I think soon we would have been begging out for Usmanov's millions, billions, however many O's he's got.
What does Ellis think? And Ellis isn't allowed to say he doesn't know.
I'd probably echo what you guys think. I just think it's shit. And then, like, Gimli's talking about the old Arsenal way, and I think that's dead, really. With Crocodile now, I get more power. Like, I can't really see much change in. Like, is that a Nigerian geezer that's always pops up every now and again?
You mean the one from Arsenal Fan TV?
No, not him. But yeah, it's just, I don't know what can you really do. We've seen protests and a lot, like in the past, a lot of the protests have just purely been about creating not the management, but now there's a bit more about that, and it's just this. There's quite a lot just wrong with the club the higher up you get, and I think it does stem down through the club. And I think Arsene Wenger as a manager is doing the best he can, but when you've got a sort of majority shareholder like Croker is now going to get even more power if the rumours are true, then I can't see it getting any better personally. And it's disappointing, but who knows what's going to happen in the future. Perhaps he'll just take full control and then try and sell it for a lot of money, but I don't see why he would if he can just use it for more loans.
Thing is, as well, right, is you've got to remember there was one of the guys on the board that owns a horse, and he said that he enjoyed, he enjoyed horse racing more than he did football. That's wonderful. You're chairman of our football club. You've got an owner that spent more money on Trump's electoral campaign than he's ever put into Arsenal Football Club. You've got a manager who, and I'm not going to say he's clueless because he's clearly not clueless, but someone should have pulled the plug a long time ago in the interests of Arsene Wenger himself and for footballing reasons. Where's the positives in that? Really, when you've got a chairman that doesn't care, you've got an owner that looks at us as a business, and you've got a manager who can't cut it anymore.
This podcast
took a turn, didn't it?
Oh, it's gone
back to positivity.
I tell you what, if there's anyone listening to us now, tell us, and we'll give you a gold star. I expect after that, there's not many listening. There's not many. If you're there, though, send us a tweet, give us a wave, and like the podcast. You know what to do.
Yes.
I think it's all sort of just relevant to all football, isn't it? Now, football as a whole is just a money-grabbing franchise. There's not many clubs out there. Obviously, you've got the clubs like PSG, the Qatari backs, and they'll put loads of money into it, and they'll buy all the world's most expensive players. And you've got the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City, and obviously the two Spanish clubs that basically have a monopoly of the Liga, and the rest of the clubs are just all pretty much owned by people that aren't. I mean, Germany's a different sort of area, like Danny and other people have mentioned before. Like a lot of the German clubs are sort of fan owned, and
50+1, I think it is, and all but two, Wolfsburg and one other. Wolfsburg owned by Volkswagen, so it's there. And I think Rasenball, not Red Bull, because they're not allowed to call it that. I think there's those two, and possibly one other that isn't owned by the 50+1 thing.
So yeah, like there's not much. I think a lot of fans feel the same way. It's not just we're not any different to any other fans out there. Oh, sorry.
Oh, he's broken the first rule. He's come on as the only person that wanted to do it, and now we may never be asked back.
No, what's he done? What was that, a message?
That was his phone.
No, that wasn't my phone. It was something on. I was just scrolling through Twitter before, and I accidentally clicked on the window and it opened up and started putting noise.
I hate it. That's a new thing that websites start doing. They automatically have a pop-up that plays shit. Usually news sites. Those fuckers, they need to fuck off. Even with ad block, it still does it. Shitbags. What was your thoughts on the Brighton game, Josh? Ellis. Josh.
Oh, did you just call me Josh?
No, it's because Josh is a Brighton follower.
Like I'm definitely not coming back now.
I don't think you were going to be asked after your phone. No, we joke.
Anyway, well, I'm not ginger, so don't call me Josh again, otherwise it makes me feel a bit ill.
Right. Hit us with it, Josh.
Dickhead. I thought I was quite confident going in, like they did have like the most potent attack force, and I thought when the game kicked off, Lacazette hit the bar within a minute, which I wish that had gone in, and we were just dominant really from the start. We scored that goal. That was quite a good, well worked goal, and then I think they hit the bar, didn't they? From a well worked free kick. I think it was, can't remember his name, something March. Josh would probably be able to tell you his actual name, and he hit it, and then they sort of got their tails up, and that was the only sort of time that I was ever worried we were going to really concede, and we sort of got through that, scored our second, which was lovely another well-worked goal with a back heel from Alexis Sanchez to Iwobi, just whacked it into the net. And yeah, I honestly thought, I'm a bit disappointed when he scored two, really. I thought we could probably win like 3 or 4-0. But yeah, I thought it was a good performance by the guys, and I was happy with it overall.
Well, there you go. We're all happy. You happy, Gim?
Yeah, I'm happy. It was nice to see Alexis Sanchez and that neat little back pass to Iwobi to score the goal. Nice to see Iwobi score. Don't think there were too many bad performances in the same way that there weren't too many that was going to set the world alight. I do think we should give credit for Nacho Monreal, a player who is constantly overlooked for doing what he does at Arsenal Football Club, because I think he's a fantastic player, and I don't think he gets enough credit. Danny?
I agree, yeah. I've said a few times I don't like him playing at centre-back, only not because he's not a good defender. He's a brilliant defender. But I'd like to see people at centre-back who are going to hurt you, not going to tickle you. But again, I think he's lost maybe a yard in pace in the last season, in the last 12 months. But he is getting on a bit. But that's why I think Wenger might have moved him to centre-back, because he may have lost a yard of pace, but he's got that brain which probably thinks gives him that extra yard back again. We actually got a question about... here we go. From Mark J. Boogie Boogie Woogie, he says, how high does Monreal rank on your, and he's in quotes, greatest Arsenal defenders of all time lists? Now, do we want him as a left back? As a left back, Ellis, where would you put him? Don't say left back.
I was going to, but wait. Yeah, I don't think I'd put him anywhere near a back four of the greatest defenders of Arsenal, but I do really like him, and I do think he's harshly criticised, and he kept Kieran Gibbs out of the team for so long, and obviously got Koscielniak now, so he sort of has to take this centre back role. And I'm the same as you, Danny. I'm not massively happy about him playing there, but you can't really criticise the guy when he played so well. He's got quite good technique. He always, against Bate Borisov, he made up some good tackles, that clearance off the line as well, and he just quietly goes about his business, and he's one of those players that, as a left back, but he's obviously playing centre back, but you don't want to see them do too much. I think if you see a defender and he's involved in a lot, he's not necessarily had the greatest game, or he's had a really good game, he's made loads of sort of tackles, but you want your defenders to sort of have a quiet game and not really notice them. And I think Nacho Monreal does that all the time. He's just Mr. Consistent, constantly hitting like a 7, 8, 9, 8 out of 10. Doesn't really had a good result, good game yesterday and scored a goal, which he's going to be really happy with. I think it's his second one for Arsenal. But yeah, he's just Mr. Consistent. But in terms of the past defenders we have, I don't know if I quite rank him high, put him in my starting 11 of Arsenal's greatest defenders of all time. But maybe keep him on the bench, don't know.
Gimli, what do you reckon? This is now his sixth season, because he joined us in January 2013. And he's now played 180 games and scored 4 goals, most of which, if he'd have got in the way, would have killed you.
But I don't think, like Ellis said, he's nowhere. Give him no disrespect. He's nowhere near an all-time Arsenal 11, is he? And not even in the subs. But what he does, he goes about and he does well. And he's solid at left back. I can't think of many games where I've sat there and gone, he was really shit this afternoon. He's just, I guess, consistent, isn't he? He's a consistent player that doesn't really lead the plaudits because you expect it from him every week, and he does it well without needing to sound off about it.
So who would we say in Premier League history is our best ever left back? Ashley Cole. We all agree on that.
Ashley Cole. As much as it pains me to say it, it's got to be Ashley Cole.
And then, do we put Monreal ahead or behind of Gael Clichy? I think we put him ahead.
Ahead.
Yeah, ahead, definitely.
Yeah, ahead of.
And then overall, do we have Cole above Kenny Sampson as the best left back? We've got Silvinho, but he was I don't think he was a better left back. I don't think Silvinho was a better left back than Monreal.
What about Armand Traore?
Yeah.
Legend.
They said about him and his 8-2 appearance. I think he made his debut in the 8-2, didn't he? Yeah. So personally, I think I'd go Ashley Cole and then Kenny Sampson, but that's 2 completely different types of players and 2 completely different eras of football. And then I'd probably have Monreal in recent years as maybe our 3rd, possibly 4th best left back.
Yeah, I'd probably agree, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll probably do that. So yeah, like I said, he's not screaming and shouting to get in the first 11 or the best team ever. But he does what he does well.
He certainly does. Right, so what were we talking about? We were talking about the Brighton game, weren't we?
Yes.
Anything else we got to talk about that? The substitutions?
No, I think it was fairly open and shut. We went there. We put in a credible performance. Should we have scored more? Yes. Did we score more?
Should we shoot more?
It's nice to see Lacazette try from outside the box, though, isn't it?
We've got some questions on Lacazette.
What do you guys think about Lacazette? So he always seems to come off, doesn't he? I know he's still getting used to the Premier League, but Arsene Wenger never seems to leave him on for the full 90 minutes. Like, even when he had those 2 goals the other day, he could have got a hat-trick. He took him off at like 70th minute for
Have
Giroud.
You got an alter ego called Jack Armstrong? Because his question is, Lacazette keeps getting subbed at 70 minutes, give or take 5 minutes. Arsene Wenger really concerned about the Premier League effect, or is there a greater fitness worry? Is that you?
No, but obviously great minds think alike. So Jack Armstrong, well done, mate. You got a really good question there.
I heard Jack was a village fool, so not a great mind.
Oh dear.
Gimli, what do you reckon? Why is he doing it? I know why he's doing it.
I would probably hazard a guess from reading Lacaz's recent comments why he's doing it as well. I don't think he's quite used to the league yet. In his comments today, where he talked about having a word with Griezmann and trying to get him to sign for Arsenal, he did say that he wasn't completely used to the league yet, and there were things that confused him. I think
like what confuses him?
I don't think he gets the protection from the referee that he quite got in France. I think that's what he was alluding to, the refereeing decisions. I don't know apart from that, but yeah, it's nice to see him say that he wanted to get Griezmann to sign for Arsenal, and let's hope he fucking does it.
I think it's got, and also Capucci asks, why aren't we utilising Lacazette's pace? Well, I think we are, kind of. I think it's one of his best aspects. But I think the reason why Wenger isn't playing Lacazette for the full 90 minutes, apart from what you said, Gimli, is his loyalty to Giroud. He can't suddenly go to Giroud, well, there you go, sunshine, you're not playing anymore. So at least he's given him the last 20, 25 minutes of a game. So Giroud will come on, maybe score a goal, and that will kind of keep him happy because he's still getting his bonuses, still getting to be a big part of the first team. So I think it's a combination of all those things. Do you think Ellis? Do you think we're utilising Lacazette's pace?
Yeah, I don't think we're not. I just think that's sort of the way we play with this formation. Like, I was when he first came to the club, all I'd really seen from him was the odd few games in sort of like Europa League and Champions League, and obviously Chris has ranted and raving about him and has had videos since he was 10 years old of the lad. So yeah, I was quite surprised by how hard he worked. He sort of tracked back a lot, and he seemed to work hard to win the ball back. But in terms of utilising space, like, I don't think we do sort of play a lot of those long balls over the top in behind, like the back four. But we do sort of play these sort of short passing and movement, and that's the way we sort of play. Maybe we're not utilising it, but I don't know. I've not really thought of it, to be honest. It's not really crossed my mind when I've watched him play.
There you go. Are we finished with the Brighton game?
Yes, let's have some of those listener questions.
We've already milked a few out. We'll start at the top with the ones I haven't already asked, because that would be silly. Nicky Wilson, he says, I keep hearing Arsenal supporters don't need or expect to win every league game this season. I've kind of got that back to front. But do you want to challenge every season? So can you name me your most memorable title challenge that we or another club didn't win? Right, while you two are thinking, I'm going to go for Newcastle. I'd really love it. The Kevin Keegan, which is a Newcastle team that everybody loved. And in the around Christmas, they bought Faustino Esprilla, who was a magnificently quick Colombian player. I think they got him from Parma in Italy. And
half a gram. They got him from Parma and half a gram.
And they changed their formation. They were about 6 points clear at Christmas, maybe, and they slightly changed their formation to allow it for him. And I remember thinking, this poor bloke is from Colombia, and the only way he's ever seen snow is when it was going up someone else's nostril. And now he's playing in the Premiership up north, freezing cold, poor bloke standing there, constantly breathing out steam and with his little gloves on, and that kind of fucked them. And yeah, so that was they were doing really well that season. Either of you two know anything you can think of?
Off the top of my head, I can't.
No, Not me, really. Other than that one, really, there's no other sort of teams that I've ever wanted to win the league other than us.
I don't know. The funny are probably in recent memory. The funny one's got to be Liverpool, where Gerrard slipped, and they did because they were. It was. I mean, I don't think there was a single person in the footballing community that didn't think that Liverpool were going to win the league that year. And then the moment that he slipped, and Demba Ba, wasn't it? Was it Demba Ba? Went through and scored a goal. It was just like, I know plenty of Liverpool fans, but I mean, fucking my dad's one. And the opportunity to laugh at them because they all thought it was absolutely fucking nailed. And they fucked it up.
Was that before or after that ridiculous game at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace?
I think that was the game.
4-3 or something.
I think they were 3-0 up.
The Gerrard slip was against Chelsea, weren't it?
Was it? I think maybe he's had two. I thought they were 3-0 up away at Palace, and then at half time, they were all in a huddle, and then we mustn't slip up here, we mustn't mess it up, and then he slipped up, and then
that was at Norwich. After the Norwich game, I think they said that because that was another mental game, and then they went away to Chelsea, and then he slipped. I think
they fucked it up against Crystal Palace as well, didn't they? They lost like 4-3 or something like that.
I just said.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't listening.
There's quite a lot of monumental fuck ups, which makes it even more tasty.
Oh yeah, the slip was against Chelsea. I'm just looking at that here.
Demba Ba scored the goal. I'd say that I wasn't right. I'm right. Yeah. Demba Ba scored the goal.
April 2014, they lost 2-0 at home to Chelsea. It's called the Gerrard effect. And then, I can't find the other one, but I'm sure it was against Palace.
We will not let this slip.
But when you put Gerrard slip, it comes up with 373,000 results.
That's a lot of memes.
That's a lot of slipping.
What did you call them? Memes?
Yeah.
Memes.
Whatever. I'm not down with the kids. I don't know. I'm not down with the kids.
It's not a Brazilian footballer.
Oh, Ellis, you really don't want to be invited back, do you?
I can't help it.
I'm about
That's the phone incident. No one pulls me up on anything. I'm the great leader of this podcast.
Don't you bring me a pop-up or I'll fucking scream. Okay, I'm on the Evening Standard. Yeah, they did one where they lost 3-1 to Crystal Palace. That was probably the one.
Yeah.
Wilfried Zaha scored within 23 seconds of coming on.
Up.
Huh?
They fucked it right up.
They certainly did. Either way, we're all laughing at Liverpool. Good.
Yes.
Right, the next question is going to be from Nina, who is a regular in the radio show's window. But she doesn't put it NINA. I think she puts NI number 9A. No, her name's Nina, but she puts a 9 rather than the N, the second N. And so Jason struggles to know what the hell it is. So she says, why does Sanchez hike a short leg up when he shoots? Is it code or just Sanchez being weird? Yeah. I reckon it's just
weird
because the shorts are a little bit too long, aren't they? And he probably doesn't want that. He probably just wants he'd probably run around in just a jockstrap if it was more freedom.
Probably would.
Have you two got an idea on this?
Maybe he just wants to air his genitals a bit more to relax him before he takes a shot.
You can't say genitals on this pod. We have limits.
No, you've got to say at least the least you've got to say is bollocks.
Okay, bollocks.
Or plums. We will go.
I like plums. Yeah, he just wants to cool his plums down.
There we go. Lovely stuff.
I just had my gardener message me, text me and say that his lawnmower's broke. He's a Spurs fan.
Is that any kind of link into this?
No, he
what happens
listens.
to his plums?
He's a Spurs fan and he listens on the way to work sometimes.
What's his name? We'll give him a shout out.
Ben.
Hello, Ben, you dirty spud.
Why do you listen if he's a Spurs fan?
Why what?
Does he listen if he's a Spurs fan?
Is he hard for you?
I don't know about that. I think he would have something to say about that if he was. No, he just, because he knows I do it, and so he occasionally listens. But he did say, I started listening to one the other day, it was shit, so I turned it off.
Oh, that's blatantly the one I wasn't there.
No, I don't know which one it was. Right, next question is from Al Soprano. He says, do you agree that fans should be happy with a win, even if we don't rip lesser teams apart? There are, in brackets, almost no easy games in the Premier League. Little Gimli, what's your thoughts on that?
So I wasn't listening to the question. To be honest with you, I'm sat here playing FIFA.
Well, you stop
don't
it
want to be
now.
asked back, do you, really? Let's be honest.
A couple of weeks ago, I played 2.5 hours of GTA 5 when I was on. Listen
I-
to the
All
podcast
extreme,
back in bed, and you could just listen to the missile detectors on the helicopter as I was firing it into the hangar.
I've been playing GTA 5 again. I've not really played it much on the Xbox One. I nearly finished it on the 360, and I'm up to about 67%.
Wow.
I've just done the major big heist where they got 13 million each. But I've put all my money in Life Invader, so I've got about 4 million credits in Life Invader shares, and they're only at 1.92. And
I can tell you for a fact now, Danny, that is like spunking it down the drain.
No, Life Invader goes back up at some point. I read it somewhere on the internets. Yes. Right. The question, you heard the question, didn't you, Ellis?
I did, but because you've gone on so much about GTA and Xbox and PlayStation, I've sort of half forgot.
Oh, no. Right. Here we go. I'll undo my delete. Al Soprano, are you listening, Gimli?
Yes, I am listening.
Do you agree that fans should be happy with our win, even if we don't rip lesser teams apart? There are, in brackets, no easy games in the Premier League.
I agree. A win is a win. As long as we don't disgrace ourselves too much. But how do you disgrace yourself when you don't win? Unless you were bad and you won. But no, 3 points is 3 points. We're ahead of Chelsea in the league now, aren't we?
No, they're second, aren't they? There's Man City.
1 point behind them, I think.
Oh, so we're 1 point behind Chelsea.
No,
and
points.
look at the shit start we had to the season. So they pulled it back around. A win is a win. Happy to see us win always. And on this show, you will never hear us whinge after a win. We are not YouTube wankers.
Ellis? Oh, no, actually, I won't let go. I'll get through some more questions. From Guna Dub, it says, are you concerned we aren't destroying average teams at home, and will we struggle to score against the harder teams? So it's almost a complete opposite to the last question, Ellis.
No, not really concerned. We obviously had a bit of a rocky start, but like Kim said, a win's a win. You've got to be happy with a win. Obviously, the goal difference is a bit on the dodgy side at the moment. I'm just looking at the Premier League table to see what we're talking about Chelsea, and we're actually joint points with Chelsea, but we're 3 goal difference behind them on 3+. But two Manchester clubs.
Season. Chelsea are going to win the league.
The 2 Manchester clubs, though, have got goal difference of 20 and 19. So compared that to ours, so I think we do need to start scoring more goals against the so-called lesser clubs. But I'm not worried as long as we get a win. At the end of the day, that's the minimum requirement we need against some clubs, is that you want to win, or against the top teams, and at least not lose. But I just think even after the Leicester game, even though we still won that, we just didn't look ready for the season. And then you had the Liverpool game and the Stoke game. They're all sort of bad results. But since then, we've been on a good run of form, and we're still sort of getting used to Lacazette, or our players getting used to Lacazette, and Lacazette's getting used to our players. I still think there's areas in the squad that needs to be sorted out. Whether it will or not, we don't know. But it's just the way it's going to be. If there's areas that are weak, like you can see it with Liverpool, their defence is fucking shit. They got a good attack, but their defence is so bad that they're now, after smashing us 4-0, they're now below us in the table. Like, if you don't sort out the areas that are weak, then this is what's going to happen, really. Like, if you ever look at the 2, I don't want to wax lyrical about them that much, but the 2 Manchester club had weaknesses and they sorted them out. And look what's happened to them. It's difficult, isn't it? But we'll see. I think we'll have a good season, regardless of not smashing the smaller teams. As long as we win against them and hopefully do a bit better against the top 6 or 7, then I think we'll finish in the top 4, hopefully.
It's weird because that Liverpool game, the 4-0, meant they had a +8 goal difference swing on us. They're currently +1. We're currently +3. And well done to Crystal Palace, who have equalled the Premier League's worst ever start to a season with 7 consecutive losses and scored not a single fucking goal. They've conceded 17.
My best mate's a Palace fan.
Bless. Commiserations.
What about Burnley, though? They're a point behind us in 6th.
Yeah, that's because they're scared of old Gruff Voice that he'll eat them or beat them in their sleep. Right, Gimli, are you listening?
Yes.
Question from Timothy. He says, what would Xhaka look like with that Iwobi hairstyle?
Like a fucking idiot.
Right, there you go. Next question's for you, Ellis. This is from Mr. DJ. I think he's in America. He says, do the panelists think allowing a drum or megaphone speaker in brackets, like at Dortmund, would help increase atmosphere tenfold at the Emirates? Have you ever experienced musical-based or megaphone-based delights at a football game?
Yeah, I have. I've actually been to a couple of Champions League games when we played Napoli and Dortmund, and both of them bought a big drum, and it did make the atmosphere really good, to be honest. But I can't really see anyone in our fan base doing that. Maybe there is someone out there who would be inclined to take a drum to every game and get the atmosphere up. But it's some of the clientele or the fans that come. I won't even call them fans, because some of the people in the stadium aren't really fans. They're just tourists or high business people sitting in the posh seats. But it could do. I think it's an idea that you could try. Maybe one of the sort of fan groups to try and get it started. But I don't know. I just our fan base is notorious for being a bit sort of meh.
Right.
Yeah, that's a word to describe it.
Well, I remember in the 93, 94, 94, 95 Cup Winners' Cup run, I think it was then, they decided at the clock end to have someone with a trumpet, and he was told to fuck off at half time and was never seen again.
I went to England San Marino, and there was some cunt with a drum, and by half time I just wanted to go up there and chin him.
You should have played one of your songs, Amy and the Wall. I love that song.
I know, it's awesome. Right.
Right, one for me from Mike from Gooners in the USA podcast, who have asked me to go on theirs on my birthday, but as my child has abandoned me and I have no friends, I might as well do it. He says, an original question for Danny. What Arsenal supporter would he most like to share a bath with? Backs and took us his arse. Back and arse scrubbing required at a minimum. That's because he's doing his show this week, and I said, what Arsenal fan would you most like to have a bath with?
I reckon Lee Gunner's nose could get in most of those hard-to-reach places.
I've heard some people saying they don't like him. I think he's all right.
I ain't saying nothing.
Nothing. You should have done this a decade ago.
We've been down that fucking road. I ain't going down that before.
Yeah. What Arsenal fan would I think it would have to be a lady fan, and my bath is big enough for two because I have to fit in it. She was fat. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a famous. Who's that Johnson woman? The actress.
Johnson.
Yeah, with a turkey gizzard neck. No, the one, the American actress.
Do you mean the one that was? Oh no, she's not American. Well, there's one that was on.
Scarlett Johansson. I want to share a bath with her.
She's not an Arsenal fan.
I don't know. Prove it.
I can't. In the bank she is.
Hey, I watched Lost in Translation the other day for the first time. She's very good in that. Quite young, bit of a minx. Who would you share a bath with, Gimli? And you can't say Kate because the water will turn brown within 10 minutes. Why is there carrot and corn in the bath, mother?
No.
I'll have it for tea.
Hold on. Kate is here. I'll ask her. Kate, who was I married to on Wikipedia? Eva Mendes.
Oh, bit of a South American flair.
Stuff.
Lovely. Ellis, who would you share a bath with? And you can't say Josh.
Are we actually doing Arsenal fans, or are we just like picking whatever actress we'd like to have a bath with?
If there's no proof that they're not an Arsenal fan, you can make it up.
Well, actually no. Piers Morgan, then I could drown him.
But he's not an Arsenal fan, as we all know. Right, Gimli, question for you from Tywin. It says, evening all. Personally, I feel as though the whole Alexis being committed, or are you listening, Gimli?
Yes, I'm here. Kate was just telling me there's someone breaking into cars on the estate, so I've got to be vigilant.
Oh, they might try and nick the tango machine.
Yes.
Right, Tywin says, personally, I feel as though the whole Alexis Sanchez being committed or not questioned is a load of shit. To me, he seems down for the cause, but do you feel it's just an issue with the media? An issue the media can use to try and sow disharmony and write headlines until he eventually leaves. He sent us that via Twitter DM, people, and that's a good way to go because you can make them a little bit longer. Exactly. Gimli, what do you reckon?
I certainly can't question his commitment. He doesn't seem like any different a player. There are times when he's warming up, though, that he looks fucking truly miserable. And whether that's down to him being at the football club trying to engineer a move, I don't know. You hear the pundits talk about the game, and by the way you talk, it's miserable, isn't it? Because everyone's talking like he's going to leave and he doesn't want to be there anymore and he's not committed to the cause. Well, you know what? We've got one season left of Alexis Sanchez if he doesn't renew his Arsenal contract.
Maybe only half.
Maybe only half. Why don't we just enjoy the time that we have left with him?
Hurrah! Well said, sir.
Thank you.
One final question from Akshay. This for you, Ellis. He says, if you had to open an Arsenal-themed restaurant, what would some of the dishes be called? Oh, I think we could all think of one for this.
I got one.
Go on, him.
Bakari lasagna.
Ellis, have you got any that you'd like to see?
Well, lasagna would have been on there, but Gimli stolen it before I could say anything. So now I have nothing witty and funny to say. So I'd probably just do something along the lines of a bouet somewhere in a dish. What sounds like a bouet?
Coq au vin.
Coq au vin, that's another one.
I would have David Seaman salad with special dressing.
Or coq au lane.
Right then, Gimli. We've been doing an hour and 35 minutes. We now have to go and do the shout-outs because there are no predictions. We can predict something if you want, but there's no point.
Let's predict something.
Yeah, I predict a riot. Oh, how obvious was that? I'm ashamed of myself. I predict that my Tesco shopping is going to be here between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. tonight, and my mummy's going to be here.
Wonderful. I predict that the lovely John Colton from the Triangle Gooners podcast. Anybody remember them?
Yes.
Brilliant podcast. Enjoyed it. Been on it a few times myself.
We stole their star, Mr. Shredder.
Yep, that John Colton and his lovely missus will be at Shays Gimli for the next couple of days.
They're going to get a tetanus before they get there or while they're there?
Shut your fucking face.
You've got 1 million dogs and 600 cats. They're going to get. You've lured them there like some kind of film to just feed them to your animals, haven't you?
No.
There'll be nibbles, isn't it?
Tomorrow I have plans for us to go to a museum because that's how Gimli rolls.
Yeah, I thought. No, well, tell them what you told me. What you were really going to do. They involve mountains.
We're going to go up the Brecon Beacons.
And then?
I can't remember what I said. I'm a bit stoned.
I think you said we were going to get very, very stoned and then call the emergency helicopter to come and save us.
Oh yes, that's it. Because it's all fun and games in Wales. Yes, I might have said that we were going to get all very stoned, get lost, and then get the emergency helicopter out to go and save us. Well, you're giving them a ride in a helicopter. That's a day they'll never forget.
And then you can show them your helicopter thing.
No, definitely not. We don't roll like that with strangers. Only people we know.
No, only
not like sending celebrities pictures of yourself in the bath and said celebrities never wanting to come on again.
And I went and saw him at Cambridge a few days later, and he completely blanked me.
Did he really?
He did. He was there. Yeah, he didn't even put it up on the main screen and try and fat shame me.
Oh, he should have. You deserve to be fat shamed. The size of you could be fat shamed several times and still have room for manoeuvre.
That's all room for pudding. Ellis, who's your shout going to be to?
My shout is going to be to someone that actually asked a question and it just jogged my memory. It is Nikki Wilson.
Ooh.
Or at Nikki G Wilson. And the only reason I'm giving him a shout out is because when I saw he followed me, he's actually from Norwich. So
he is.
Go follow him if you don't already. Nikki G Wilson.
Alan, do you know Alan Partridge?
Oh,
of course I do. Know him like a close friend.
You're really lucky to have his radio show, though.
Yeah, that's not a real show, didn't you?
No, don't.
Norfolk Digital is not a real station.
You don't know that? Prove it.
Do you find it funny, Ellis, that the ring road of Norwich kind of looks a bit like an areola?
I've never noticed, to be honest, but I'll have a look.
You get the map out. I don't even live there, and I know.
I mean,
why are you looking at the ring road of Norwich for?
Just because these
It
are
arouses
the
him. He gets two
It
maps
does.
of Norwich, and he's in the toilet for an hour.
It does.
Oh dear! Right, my hello is going to go to Dan Baldwin. Now he sent a really long question
Alex,
about
brother.
about where he should go for when he's coming to England to see Arsenal play in the late September. And because I don't know for what reason, but I was scrolling down. I have this note saved on my PC called Podcast Notes. And while I was scrolling through it today, deleting all the questions from the last show, I scrolled right down to the bottom, and underneath stuff was his entire email, and I forgot to ask it. Now, it wouldn't be the first time that someone has emailed us, and I've completely forgotten to do it because I just get him off of Twitter. So, people, if you DM us, you can send us a long DM with your stuff in, and we'll try and do it. But I'm very sorry, Dan.
When did he send the message?
He sent it probably, I don't know, a month ago.
Oh, so he probably doesn't listen anymore then when he thinks that we blanked him.
Sorry, Dan. And also, someone's birthday down in, what day is it today? Monday? Yeah, it's someone's birthday that we know on Wednesday, isn't it?
Is it the legend, Mr. AA?
Mr. AA. Mr. All the Q's and no U's. Actually, there is a U in there. It's Akeem!
Akeem!
Didn't you play FIFA with him, Ellis?
No.
Well, you say play FIFA with him. I don't know if Akeem wants to play FIFA.
I heard he was shit. I heard for the first 15 games, he didn't realise he had the controller back to front. He's still better than me, though. So happy birthday,
You never know, state of some of our lot. He could be on next week.
He plays for ABW Pro Clubs, who are Division 1 champions. Well, they were in FIFA 17. Must say, I do like the way FIFA 18 FUT now works, where you can get all those weekly and daily and monthly bonuses. They're brilliant. I got 20-odd packs yesterday by doing stuff. I mean, some of them are only little contract things. And my best ever win ever was 15-0. Now it's 21-0. Honking them. And I like that other thing they do where it's you got to play against someone else's club and you get rankings for it. It's very good. Right, Gimli, I think that's all. No podcast next week because it's international bollocks. And the week after that, I think it's going to be Jeff, Mr. Holick, and Raj coming back with a bang.
Coming back with a bang. I think we should add a special guest to that one.
Who?
I should search the realms of Twitter and find a special guest. I have someone in mind.
Well, that could be your job. I'll just fill out the usual cannon fodder, and then you can fill it with the stars. Okay. Like when you were at school, when all you were allowed to do was play with the glue and the glitter on the cards. You make them special.
See, here's a question. Kate said to me the other day, right, Ellis, when you were at school, did you used to cover your hand in PVA glue and then peel it off?
Yeah, all the time.
Of course you did.
Sniff it. We used to get told off and sat in like the little naughty corner. It used to be where all like the glue was, and that's all you do. Just literally cover your hand in and peel it off, or try and pretend you're a Spider-Man. Did
you go to Church of England schools? Because
yes,
I never did that. Maybe I was just boring.
I went to Oxmoor St John's in Huntingdon, which now when you go there, when you start in reception year, you get your own stab vest, your own taser, and your own gun, and you get self-defense lessons because the Oxmoor is a shithole. So yeah, that was Church of England school. Gimli, I think you should round this shit up.
I think we should. I think we've done. First of all, I will commend Ellis on his last ever appearance on the show. Well done, Ellis. You've done particularly well standing in.
I know. I haven't.
And it is much more difficult when it is only three of us because it's nice to have people to bounce off.
Not. I prefer it. I prefer just me.
Really?
Maybe I should branch out.
First time you've stretched anything for years.
Oh, I'll tell you what, you're not wrong.
So all that's left then is to thank Ellis. And Danny, you had to be here, as did I.
As did you.
As did I. Have we got any funny little quips we want to say before the end of the show?
No. I need to go and give my cat some water.
Do you really?
Do. Otherwise they'd be drinking out the sink again.
Oh,
tragic.
I should say as well, shout out to my mother who won big on the postcode lottery this week.
Yes, you are now a millionaire.
Yes,
32 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. She's already bought me my own castle. We relocate next week.
Where's that? It's Transylvania.
Yep.
Lovely.
So hopefully the internet will be just slightly better than what Tim
Living
Hargreaves is.
Living in a hole in
Yes.
Wales.
Right. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Happy fish. Right, so I've got 15 questions. I've got the under 18s, under 23s, and ladies. Quick injury watch. We're not really interested in any of the loans because they're all boring. We've got.
Do the loan watches.
Oh, are we going to get going?
Yeah, 1 second. She's just telling me what's wrong with her.
I've got. Needs.
So
Scurvy.
fecal impaction. I had the blockage. Now I've got the squits. It's called a fecal impaction. That is.
Well, that's lovely. Those words will be.
Don't you dare use the fucking extras.
I've got
cool.
a fecal impaction.
She's got a fecal impaction. I'm going to try and sneak that in there. The podcast tonight, unbeknownst to everybody.
That could be the title of the show, fecal impaction.
Yeah.
Jesus, on the shoes. So every now and then I hear this metal on metal click. Who's doing that?
That was me. I'm snapping up a card. I'll put it in the bin. Sorry.
What card? Oh, credit card.
Nando's gift card that I've used all up.
Yes.
Nando's any good?
Yeah, I love Nando's.
I've been there once and I was quite small portions, but cheap and good quality. I like Bella Italia.
Away from the house, we've got a Nando's, a Frankie and Benny's, a Subway, 2 McDonald's, a KFC. What else have we got? An all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet.
Oh,
One of those
hello.
pizza places. A Papa John's, Domino's, Pizza Hut. Literally,
Oh,
I think we've got everything covered but Burger King, which is sad because I like Burger King.
They are the best. Yes. Right. Phone's on mute. Everything is now recording. Good. Just checking my level. That's recording. Everyone else is all right. So we're ready to go.
Sounds good to me. Right then. So 3, 2, 1. You can't talk there because that's where I was about to start. You can't say something about incontinence.
Oh dear.
You can't. No, I was just. This is a Bergkamp. Fucking hell. Right, we'll go again.
Poorly arse again.
Yeah, she's talking about her bad ass.
Jesus.
Right. 3, 2, 1. Stop laughing! She's fucking laughing.
Well, better laughing than shitting.
Say, be careful, you might shit yourself. Right, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast.